Anybody stranger to this thing we call the ground game? Of anybody that's not familiar with it?
Ground game is wonderful.
Let me get it. Can I borrow you, sir? All right. We've had a lot of play with some of this fancy stuff that comes up in the grappling game, and we've actually had a lot of troubles with guys playing what's called an inverted guard. And this is a young man's guard. It sure ain't my guard. But they're basically upside down and setting things up, which seems crazy, but coming up with some really, by twisting the feet, spinning himself out, coming up into some really nasty things. So we weren't really getting any good answers from any of the BJJ, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys that I was asking. Well, just train to pass it, train to get better at it, but no answer to like, what do we do about this inverted guard that is becoming a problem. And because we're going to tournaments and competing against it, if a guy does that to me on the street, what are we going to do, you know? And they're always coming up with the De La Hiva guard, the Oompa Loompa. They got a donkey guard, spider guard, but this inverted guard was actually, I learned a long time ago, anything that you've never seen can and will hurt you. And so I had guys going into this and going like, looking at me, I'm like, well, get him. Yeah. And coming in and getting tapped out, not understanding how it happened, understanding how a guy upside down was getting this. So I had to break it down and analyze. I got no answers from any of the BJJ guys other than just try to catch him spinning, try to work through it. And so I went back and thought on it and strategy, and I came up with my own answer, and I went back to just old school judo and went back to something that they don't do. There's positions in jiu-jitsu that they don't do because they don't get points for these positions. Case of Katami, non-existent really in jiu-jitsu, and north and south. Believe it or not, they don't call it a control position. One of the most dominant judo pins in the world. People always ask me about it, why it's not like. Well, it's not like because there's not a lot of submission opportunities from it. But you put me with a 250-pound plus guy, you can bet I'm going north and south to tire his big ass down, you know, because it's a good position to control, and nobody really understands how hard it is to escape that position until they've been there, and those guys just don't get it. They've never played this position. So we came up where we're that just the best you can, I understand, to where we're coming in low. Now I'm no longer in danger of his guard, and I've flattened him out. So I came up with an entire pin sequence and submission sequence from here, but I'll teach you the one arm bar that it's actually called the Heat. It's by Cairo Parisian, little known judo guy that trains under Gokor and Jean LaBelle. But we threw it in the system because it works so well, it's unseen, and still everywhere I go I'm teaching this submission. No one's seen it, no one's heard of it. So I keep him flat, typical grappling judo pin. We don't do this, doesn't work for the little guys. I keep his head boxed in between my knees so he can't spin and turn. And I'm walking myself out to the side. Now, that's straight jacket. Different sequence, okay? So I'm underneath, over, under. Basically, I started coming up with a submission, whether I was over, under, over, or over, under. I've got a submission for every position. But the key was going back to the old school judo of north and south, driving him in, flattening him out. And I had one of my top guys that is a Naga champion, grappling champion, and he lost his belt at that tournament to that inverted guard against the kid. And he got the luck of drawing that kid at the next tournament. So his eyes got big. I could see he was worried. I said, work on what we know. We already know what he's going to do. The guy literally, from the start, when they said begin, he sat on his butt. Stay right there. This is how they start. You ready? Go. But there you go. It seems hilariously ridiculous, but what we're not taking into account is when a guy is so flexible that he can fold his legs onto his face. And so if you can picture, you can't picture it with us, but I can roll him and move him. This guy, go ahead and lay back a little bit, is very flat, has a good back base, and he's able to bring his feet so it is actually, once he gets, it's very difficult to pass this. From the outside looking in, I thought, what's the problem? But I've played with some players like this, and it is a sick skill set. Again, street fight, you're gonna have a bad day, but we are in the game. We have to play by the game's rules, and because these guys his feet are so flat that it is, before I can even get to your shoulders, your feet are out here. So anyways, we're working. I taught him how to get through and move himself up and get to what he wants, okay? So then I'm going off on kind of a diagonal axis and controlling this arm. And what I want to do is just kind of nudge myself close, keeping my base good, head down, watching, pinching his head, and I'm nudging my knee closer and closer to his hip. I've got his arm trapped underneath his elbow right here. Once I get him tired of flopping around like a fish and he can't figure out how to get out of this or how to get his feet back in here, and I've played this, guys, with people that can bring their feet up and stick it under my armpit right here. He'll grab his own foot with this hand, and I've had him insert it under my armpit right there. Things that, because of my flexibility, and I'm going, how the hell did he just do that? But I learned how to stay really, really low, work myself to his hip, post, step, fall off. Immediately, I'm pinching both elbows. The key is the elbows pinched. I've trapped his legs so he can't go anywhere. Clasp my hands, slowly lift. It's basically a key lock done from a different position. So one more time. From the north and south, what I want to do is I want to secure the right arm under. It's harder. You can do it here. But yeah, what I was going to say is my partner's face is not going to appreciate it when I have to come off, and it's a bigger move to come from here back. But when I'm here, I can fall off his head a lot easier. Okay, so I get closer. I want to move my hips down, and I like to try to touch my knee to his hip so that I know I'm just a half a step away. He tries to bridge any direction. Doesn't matter. I'm based, I'm down, and I'm tight. It's a great pin for Judo as well. In Jiu-Jitsu, they're going to give you nada. They don't even recognize it. Step up, fall off his face, lock the elbow, Lock the elbow down, clasp the hand. He tries to move to invert it, lift his hips for any distance, and I've got him. All I have to do is start to lift. If you like, north and south, because it's a good position to just kind of tire a guy down. However you do it, he's going to burn a lot of energy, and the gi adds whatever energy you were burning with no gi, you're going to burn 10 times that energy with the gi. Might as well put on a Velcro suit, grip up, and just hang on. But it's a good submission that I'm very successful with, that I set up a lot, and a lot of the arm scooping submissions, people have seen them. He knows that as I start to scoop him, he knows to get that elbow back down. He knows that as I start to secure his arm, he knows that Kimura is coming. He secures it. It leaves me with a big fight. This submission, kind of like the straight jacket series that Moose used to teach, is kind of one of those that it takes a little bit of patience to set up because you got to bide your time. But when you do it, they're going to be going, what was that? Like, what did you just do? And it's a fun one to show. So I'll be on the mat. If you got any questions, ask. Go slow. I don't know if y'all read his body language, but when you pinch those elbows, that key lock is in place. So it doesn't take a big amount of arch. You literally can start lifting with your hands, and you're probably going to get your tap. If you don't have the elbow control, both elbows, one pinched into his armpit, one pinched into his wrist, you don't have the arm bar. Okay? Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Bravo.